welcome back to the Show. I'm Aaron, joined as always by my cousin and co-host, the one, the only. Hey, there's Landon.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going, man. It's going.
And it keeps
I feel like my voice is going away, but we're gonna see how far I can carry it.
surely you have another 25 to 30 minutes in you.
I may, and don't call me Shirley.
Ah, would you like to back into 1990 with me?
I would, I would.
Let's
But
do it.
before we dive in,
Oh,
guys, folks at home, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell icon to get notified whenever we drop new content because it really helps us out. You may not think so, but it's a little thing you can do, and honestly, it does something to the algorithm. It's a lot more technical than I know, but what were you saying about 1990, dude?
well, I should say 89, 90. It was a time where new horizons, where things were boldly gone to that had never been gone to before. But more importantly, it's about Star Trek, The Next Generation, season 3.
Yes, the Enterprise D.
Oh,
You know
yes.
what the D stands for, right?
Um, Determined.
I was gonna say disaster, but
Oh,
uh,
well, that would be fair. If they all
that's
like
probably
that.
that's probably season two. That's a season two thing.
I like
Uh,
this season a lot, actually.
Season three, I feel like, is where Next Generation kind of found its footing and really gave us some absolute classics when it comes to the series and these episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mean, first of all, you had character progression for a lot of characters that were introduced. I mean, well, and you also have so Beverly comes back, right?
Right.
So that was great. And then of course Will gets becomes ensign. You have I won't even go into the last episode yet. We'll save that for a hot minute.
Will Will, you mean
Well,
Wesley?
we Wesley. I know I was going to say Will Wheaton. My bad.
Will is a commander. Will Riker is a
Oh,
commander.
he's a good man.
He's first officer.
I was thinking Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
But I love one of my favorite episodes in it is the one where Q loses his powers. That was so good.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
love Q episodes.
That's on my list of one to talk about today. Um, do you know how we got Gates McFadden back on the show?
By popular demand.
Well, Patrick Stewart himself actually asked for her to come back.
Oh, really? That's great.
Yeah, he threw his weight around as captain. He also demanded new uniforms and more action scenes. So there you go, Patrick
Well,
Stewart.
we got it. You know,
They did get
it's
new uniforms. This is the year when they lost the uniforms with that stupid the stripes not there
yeah,
anymore.
that's right. Do you know one of the things that I think is interesting because you see interviews with him where he was kind of uncertain about it in the first season at least. And I think second season he gets stride. I think third season he was invested. You know what I mean? Plus, of course, you had all the writing junk going on that had happened previously in the previous season.
Yeah, you had the writer's strike that happened during that
Right.
second season.
But the first season was riddled with issues about the writing as well, right? The struggles and fighting about the writing and the script and who was in charge, right? And that what we talked about. But then in the second one, we
Yeah,
also had it before. I thought there was controversy in the first season.
there was always um with as far as Gene Roddenberry goes,
Yeah,
had a hard time with relinquishing any kind of control to any other writers.
yeah.
Um, what so before we get into more of season three, we have the sudden disappearance of Dr. Pulaski. Any speculation what happened to her after um because I mean I don't think her character was well liked by much of the audience. Um,
Transfer.
she's transferred out. I never did fit on the Enterprise. I might as well get out of here.
No. No,
Um,
honestly, I just it wasn't a good fit, and
no,
like we
no,
said in the last one that we did of this, they were definitely trying for a Bones type character, and it just
hmm
didn't work out, you know.
yeah. The show also brought in some serious writing talent in season three. We got Michael Piller coming on as the executive producer. You get Ronald D. Moore joined the staff after sending in a spec script. If you're not familiar with Moore, he went on to create the reimagined Battlestar Galactica. So that was a
Hello.
pretty good career move on his part, sending in that
Loved
script.
Battlestar Galactica. Mm. You
Um,
have you watched all those, by the way?
oh gosh, yeah,
Thank you.
great series.
Mm. So good.
All right, let's talk about some of those standout episodes. Early on in the season, one that I really liked was Who Watches the Watchers.
Mm.
This one is a fascinating story about what happens when primitive aliens start thinking that Picard is a god. Really kind of digs into the whole Prime Directive thing. It was really it was an interesting episode, to say the least. Do you remember that one?
I
It had
barely.
Ray Wise in it.
Who's that?
He was the standout guest star. Ray Wise. He was in
Oh
Twin
yeah,
Peaks. He was
I like
Laura
that
Palmer's
guy.
dad.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like that guy.
he's a really good actor. But
He was in RoboCop.
yes, he was.
Yeah, I like that. I
He's
like
been in
him.
all kinds of stuff. He's one of those actors. It's like, oh, he's that guy in that thing, uh, that kind of actor. But he's really good. Usually when he shows up somewhere, it's going to be an interesting part he's playing.
Yeah.
Um, I think isn't there one of the newer Star Trek movies where Kirk gets mistaken for a god?
That's what, well, I can't remember. I was thinking, of course, I get things mixed up in different movies and shows. The one that comes to mind right now is simply C3PO being thought of
Yeah.
as a god by the by the by
It's not in
the
my programming to like be a deity.
by the Ewoks. Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I was trying to think. One of the favorite episodes that I had was the one that was, what's it called? Oh, right, where it's the Yesterday's Enterprise, the one that where Tasha Yar comes back.
oh
Remember
yeah,
that one with Denise
yeah,
Crosby?
yeah.
That was a great episode.
That was fantastic. Yeah, you had this alternate timeline where the Enterprise C somehow comes into the Enterprise D's present, and when that happens, it completely alters history. Tasha's
Yeah,
still alive. Worf doesn't exist on the Enterprise, and the Federation is losing a war with the Klingons.
yeah,
It was super dark, super complex. And I'm pretty sure it's consistently ranked as one of the best episodes of the series.
yeah, yeah. Man, that's
And what's
such a good
you remember
episode.
what brought about the change that why it wasn't who brought it up that was important to send the Enterprise back was Guinan.
Right,
Like
right, right, right,
somehow she
right.
was aware that this wasn't right, and she's like, I'm not supposed to know, Lieutenant Yar.
Right, 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 right. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. And then there was the episode that had the Q one that we talked about. Um, which, again, Delancey, he's just good at that role.
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
though, when I saw him in this, it was a bit redeeming because I remember watching a movie probably a little younger than I should have called The Hand That Rocks the Cradle with Rebecca De Mornay.
Hmm.
Do you remember that movie?
I do. It's very disturbing.
Very disturbing. But do you remember the doctor at the beginning? That was him.
That was John Delancey.
That was John Delancey.
Huh.
And I always thought that he was
That's
just a
funny.
dirty,
The
bad
only
person.
the only other thing I could remember him from was Multiplicity. He was in that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was another contractor that worked with Michael Keaton's character.
Oh, he's got
Yeah,
a
that was
junior. It's a
Deja
John
Q. Do
Delancey,
what?
John Sherwood Delancey Jr. He's a junior.
He's a junior and a
Interesting.
senior. He so that episode was Deja Q. Yeah, apparently Q loses his powers, becomes human. He asks to be human and sent to the Enterprise because he feels like these are the closest things he has to friends. And It's so funny watching him being vulnerable for the first time. Uh, and his interactions again, his interactions with Guinan. Doesn't she stab him with a fork or something
Yeah,
just to
it
prove that he's
doesn't.
human?
But I thought too that didn't they punish him, or was it something he asked for? Because it was the Q
He was
continuum.
being punished. The Q Continuum was punishing him for the way he's treated uh
Right.
various species throughout the galaxy. So
No,
yeah,
this is cool.
he got in trouble.
Roddenberry chose the letter Q in honor of his friend Janet Quarton. That's cool. It's interesting. Man.
We would be remiss if we failed to mention the season finale, the best of both worlds.
Oh my gosh.
Total
Wow.
cliffhanger.
Yeah,
So Picard
quite.
gets captured by the Borg. He is assimilated. Riker takes command, and then we had to wait the entire summer to find out what happened next. Because all we get in those last moments is Riker saying, "Mr. Worf, fire."
Oh my gosh.
Legendary, legendary.
Yeah. Yeah, totally stuck. And then, of course, I mean, I know we'll talk about this when we do season four, but how could you not talk about this episode without talking about part two, right?
I mean, we might as well.
It's where you see the most played, replayed, and revisited moment of all time, which is when Patrick Stewart has his face covered
Yeah,
with because he's now Borg. He's now Locutus.
I
Locutus.
am Locutus of Borg.
Oh my.
Resistance is futile.
Mm, man, that was so good. Such a good scene. Yeah.
Any other episodes that stand out to you from season three?
I think those were the main ones. I mean, I was trying to think. There was I remember that probably I came to not enjoy Deanna Troy's mother in this season.
Mhm.
Like, and it kind of set the stage for all encounters with her. Although other people, I'm sure, enjoy her. I mean, obviously, I think that actress's voice, isn't she? That the actress's voice who's the
The
computer?
voice of the computer, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So appreciate you, Miss Barrett. I don't know how to say your first name. But
Nigel Barrett,
imagine.
Roddenberry. She's actually Gene Roddenberry's wife.
Oh my gosh. I appreciate her so very much for her voice to the computer. And her character was meant to be like the mother or mother-in-law that you would never want, right?
Yes,
But
absolutely.
and there were many redeeming qualities about her, but gosh, just such an annoying character, you know. And that episode, Menage a Troy, was just ugh, you know, just my
Yeah.
opinion.
There's an episode from I can't remember, it was I think I want to say it's the fifth season where and I can't remember the title off the top of my head, but it's an episode where David Ogden Stiers guest stars as well, and she's on the Enterprise and develops a relationship with his character, and it turns out like in this in his society, when you hit the age of 60, you basically commit ritual suicide.
Yeah,
And that's how it is in their society. They, you hit 60, that's it, your life is over, so that the elderly are not a strain on the younger generation. And so this whole she spends the entire episode fighting and trying to convince him not to do this and to go against everything he's ever believed in. And I'm only going into this because of this is where I get my annoyance with her. It's like you can't step in to this society and expect them to embrace
no,
you and your beliefs when this is something they've been doing for 1,000
no,
years.
I know, it's
And so
crazy.
that whole episode, I'm pissed off at her. I'm just like, shut up,
I
shut
know.
up. You're having a hard time dealing with this because you're over the age of 60 yourself.
Mm,
And so it's like, stop projecting
projecting, that's what it is.
onto their society
All right,
what and taking it on yourself. be grateful that you live in a society that doesn't end your life at the age of 16. You can go on and live for many, many years if you want to. But that's, so that's
All
my
right.
annoyance with her.
All right. All right. Since we're opening up the can of worms on annoyance. All right. I wasn't going to mention it because I don't know if there's fans out there, and I certainly don't want to demean the actor. But I'm going to tell you one of my least favorite characters of all of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and has
Broccoli.
always, always been. It is Lieutenant Barclay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Every time
I
he shows
I
up,
just I'm like the whole time thinking to myself, especially when he comes back, I'm like, has no one clued you in? Has no one told you that this is not a good character?
yeah,
You don't have
he
this guy should not be on a starship. He should be in a
he comes
field.
back for to Voyager, right?
The Voyager
Yeah, and becomes
10
a
years
big deal in
later.
trying to get them home.
Ugh,
Why? Who is he?
ugh.
Who are you to try and figure out who? No, yeah,
Let me
I
just
never
tell
cared
you,
for broccoli.
this guy would have been better suited just to go ahead and fast track his way to Dancing with the Stars. You know what I mean? That would have been the best end for his character arc is to do that.
Just
Oh,
go back to the A team.
oh, the 18. That's right. That's right. Maybe that's where the fanfare was. Roddenberry's just like, you know what? I love the 18. Got to get me one of those guys on here.
This was his debut, right? Season three, the episode where he had like all the holodeck imaginary.
That was it.
Uh,
And do you remember
uh,
the talking to that he had to have with Picard? Well, for
and
with all
Picard
of them,
accidentally
really.
called him broccoli.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All of them, really. I mean, they really did lay it on thick that pretty much there wasn't a single person that wasn't annoyed with him at some point. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. That's if I were Geordi, all right, and Geordi was his superior officer,
Yeah.
right? He was his direct, um, I guess supervisor or
Yeah.
whatever. I would have had him transferred off the Enterprise in a heartbeat. He
He
was
needs to
not
go
Enterprise
wherever that
material.
doctor went, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Go transfer to the USS Pegasus or something. Come on, broccoli.
Oh man, broccoli.
All right, so let's switch gears and hit into our pop culture pulse. Did you see that Nerdist article about Daniel Craig's thoughts on the next James Bond?
No. What do you know?
Apparently, he doesn't care who takes over the role. Pretty refreshing take, I guess. But just
A
out of
celebrity
curiosity,
without an
devil's
opinion.
advocate, who would you cast as the next James Bond?
Um, do you know what? A no name.
Oh,
I'd like a no name. I'd like somebody who has theater experience, like Shakespearean theater experience, who could come in there, and just who knows how to act and how to be, and obviously needs to be nice to look out for the ladies, but it's just I don't know. I it's so hard sometimes when you grow up with formative opinions. I loved Sean Connery, who preceded me, but when we were having Pierce Brosnan come about at that time when, we're in the 90s, it's like he was just so charming and smooth, you know? And if anything, that tied me back into the Sean Connery ones, just that's and so it's like although I ended up liking Daniel Craig's version overall, still I think about the charming nature of Sean Connery and Roger Moore and Pierce Brosnan, and there's just something there where it's like they are charming, but they are deadly, you know? And there
I'll throw
it's
this out there too. I think Timothy Dalton was underappreciated,
oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. But you
but he
see,
did
it's
fantastic.
but you need to have a British. It needs to be a British actor. I mean, I consider. I think that it should be someone who we don't have to focus on the flaws of the character. We have so much of that all the time.
Yeah,
Broken pieces. You need to have someone who can come in there and you got to have a good story, but you got to have someone who can, I don't know, emulate what would be a cool spy. you know?
Take us back to a James Bond that doesn't need a character arc.
No, doesn't
He's
need
just
nothing deep. It's
because
okay.
that's how those original Bond movies were, right? I mean, you didn't have it was almost
It was
like
episodic.
watching Bugs Bunny cartoons,
Yeah,
right?
it's episodic. You
I
just
mean, you've got this one thing that happens in this one movie or this one show, and you've got this one guy who you can always count on to be the same person he is in every movie. I
in
don't
a
want to see
different
James Bond.
situation.
I don't want to see him falling in love and having his heart broken because he gets betrayed or because the girl dies or something, and then he doesn't know how to function as 007 anymore. Stop giving us ennui. Give us a James Bond who is confident
No,
and a perfect gentleman and also a womanizer somehow at the same time.
just it. Yeah, and it can't be Mission Impossible. You know,
No.
it
Don't make it Mission Impossible.
don't make
Don't make
me.
it Jason Bourne. Make it
No,
James Bond.
make it James Bond. And I really think at this point it's hard to see an existing actor in that. If you really wanted to accomplish that, then I think you got to go fresh. What about you? Do you have anybody though that you would pick?
I thought of some names. I like your take though. I like thinking about a fresh face that nobody knows. But if I were going to go with a name, um, there's a part of me wants to say Henry Cavill. I
Oh,
mean, he's not doing anything
I
now.
know, I know. He's so, but I think like
Um,
if you
and
got
I
into,
say that mostly because I liked the way he played the spy in Man from Uncle.
he was great. Yeah,
And I hate that never got a sequel.
I know.
I feel like it was a good enough movie. It just didn't perform well enough at the box office.
Yeah.
Um, but I really enjoyed his take on that, and even Army Hammer, who has fallen from grace, but I thought that movie was really good. Um, and I know they've thrown around Idris Elba's name
Yeah. But he's getting
as a
older,
Bond. But yeah, but he's aging out of the
aging
role. I
out.
mean, if they
Right.
had done it, if they had cast him around the same time they cast Daniel Craig, it would have worked.
Yeah.
But I think they missed the boat on that one.
You know who they could do? They could do Kit Harington.
Ooh,
Kit Harington, if you shave him off, I think he might be able to pull it off too. You know,
see that?
so as well respected actor, you know what I mean? A lot of fandom that would go there. He's a mysterious character ever since Jon Snow. You know, he's got a mysterious vibe. You know, one of the
I
things
mean,
you love about certain actors is their ability to communicate without having to say things, right? And that's the kind that you need. That's the reason why I brought up a theatrical actor like a Shakespearean actor because they know the power of expression.
hmm
They know the ability to have a presence without having to say things. They know timing. They know all that stuff. And I think that that's kind of what you need. You need somebody who doesn't have to say things to communicate things.
if they were to cast Kit Harington, you'd have to have somebody, the love interest or the femme fatale or somebody would have to throw in the line. You know nothing, James Bond.
Yeah, you know nothing. Who ended up being his real wife?
I know.
She's great.
All right, moving on to the recommendation corner. I got to bring up Star Trek Lower Decks again.
Let's hear it.
Um, it's back on. Fifth and final season is airing right now on Paramount Plus. I think they're 4 episodes in. Um, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. You
I
you have a
paused.
recommendation this week?
I paused my membership because it's like when you have like all these, every once in a while you need to pause one for a hot minute because you're not watching because you're watching the other ones. So
Right.
I paused my Paramount.
Gotcha.
So there's a few things I need to see on that. I need to turn it back on, but that will be, as it's been such a strong recommendation by you, that will be one of my first stops. Yeah.
Um, any recommendations from you this week?
I don't know. I don't think so. Well, if you're a game player, one of the games that I've played and really enjoyed are these choose your own adventure type of games on the PS4, 5. Few of them have come out that are like Hard Rain, what was the other one? Until Dawn, and Detroit Become Human. That's a good game. It's a great game. Kind of a social justice for androids kind of a game. But there's also a series of games. There's four of them called that are in a Dark Pictures anthology. And a few of these games include The Man from Medan, The House of Ashes, Town of Little Hope, and then The Devil in Me. Those are four games of multiple series that are going to come out, and it's choose your own adventure in the way that you're not doing the action. You're moving the character, you're investigating things like that, but you'll have time choices, and your choices determine the course of the story. And these are not for the faint of heart. These are scary games, and so I've played one. I'm in another one, and if you can handle it, because it can be a little scary at times. It's fun to see how your choices shape a storyline, and how you progress through what really does feel like a movie that you're taking part in. So maybe check it out.
Interesting. All right. So once again, we have nothing from our audience, no comments to speak of. But guys, we really do love hearing from you. So
Yeah.
drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you have a favorite episode from Next Generation season three? Who would you cast as the next James Bond? Are you playing any of these choose your own adventure games that Landon was talking about? We seriously, we read your comments, and we love to feature them right here. Noah, where you at, man? It's been a couple weeks. I haven't heard from you. Getting worried. Is school more important than listening to the podcast? I mean, what's up with that?
Clearly.
It is. Stay in school. Uh, all right. It is time.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah.
I didn't see the wheel, so I was a little concerned about the wheel.
Wheel was hiding behind the thingamajig. Can you
What
see
do we
it?
got?
All right. So we still got Star Trek Next Generation on here, so we can continue with season four if that comes up. And then I did change popcorn psychology, but I put Carrie White on there. Hmm. Carrie
Carrie
White
White, like from the movie Carrie?
from Carrie, the
Woo!
Stephen King Carrie White.
Oh, that'd be good.
So here we go.
Good book.
What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Can you see
Carrie
it?
White it is.
Oh, hit another popcorn psychology already. All right, let's do
Nice.
another one. So we'll talk about Carrie White next week and
What?
Star Trek: The Next Generation season four.
By all means, we'll keep this going.
Keeping the party going, man. All right. So to recap, that's popcorn psychology with Carrie White. That's going to be some disturbing stuff.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into season four of Star Trek: The Next Generation. So, Landon, any final thoughts before we check out?
Well, as we record this today, and this will be aired later, but today is Veterans Day. And so I just wanted to express, and I'm sure on behalf of Aaron as well, our appreciation for all the veterans out there. And we're super thankful. I don't know on your side, but on both sides of for grandparents, grandfathers for me were they served in the military. So one Air Force, one Army. And I have a team member that I work with who served in the Air Force. And so just thank you. Thank you. Our freedom to even do this would not be possible without the efforts and sacrifices continually made by our military. So thank you.
I'm gonna said it better myself. Yes, and I want to echo that. Thank you to all who served. Um, we take our freedom for granted, huh?
We do.
All right, that is gonna do it for us at the Show. I'm Aaron. That's Landon, and as always, have a great whatever it is wherever you are.
Bye bye.